Hi guys, I'm Charlie Book Fanatic. Welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to do a recommendations video. I'm going to recommend you some historical fiction books. The recommendations group is hosted by Kayla Rain from the channel Kayla Rain and Drina from Tween Chapters. I will link both of the channels as well as the Goodreads group down below for the topics. So let's get straight into this. The first book I'm going to recommend to you is Wolf by Wolf. It's the first book in the Wolf by Wolf duology by Orien Grodin. This is an alternate retelling of the Second World War. Hitler has won the war, and now every single year a intercontinental motorcycle race takes place, and it's about this character Yael, who is a skin shifter, which means she can change into anyone she wants. She is going to participate in this race for the rebellion she's a part of, and if she wins, she gets to meet Hitler and she can kill him, which is the ultimate goal of her participating in this race. She takes the place of Adele, who was a girl who disguised herself as a guy and participated in this race because girls weren't allowed to enter at first, but Adele won this race, revealed herself as a girl, and eventually met Hitler, which is why this rebellion kidnaps Adele and Yael changes into Adele. But Yael didn't think of the fact that she would have to get along with Felix, who is Adele's real brother, and also participating in this race to protect his sister. And Luca, who was Adele's love interest, and also participating in this race. And Adele managed to win, but she was working together with Luca and eventually betrayed him. So that is this whole thing that's going on, and it is so good. Like, the whole book takes place during this motorcycle race, and it's so cool. Like, you see all of these relationships develop, and Yael's past, and how she came to be who she is, and where the skin shifting thing came from, and it's amazing. It's literally incredible. If you haven't given this a try, please do. It's only a duology. The second book, Blood for Blood, has come out in November 2016, so the whole duology is out. You can give it a binge read. The second historical fiction book I want to recommend to you is The Diviners by Libba Bray. It is an uncompleted series. I think it's a 4-book series at this point. I have read the first 2 books. The third book isn't out yet, but this takes place during the 1920s, and it follows a whole cast of characters who all have these different sorts of powers, like the powers of... One of the main characters, Evie, has a power to take an object and see its past. Another character has the power of healing people. It is really cool, especially because it takes place in the 1920s and it really has that vibe. The characters also talk in a different way. Like, if I think something is really cool, they will say, "It's the elephant's eyebrows," which wasn't a real expression, I believe, but it is so funny. It also has this underlying plot of there being a serial killer, and the main characters are trying to figure out who the serial killer is and what his motive is for killing these people, which is the plot of the first book. The second book has another plot which I won't go into, obviously, because spoilers, but it's really cool, especially because of these powers, and especially the setting and the execution of it is amazing. The third book I want to recommend to you is a standalone historical fiction. It's less popular. It's Daughter of Sand and Stone by Libbie Hawker. This book takes place in Palmyra, which is an ancient archaeological ruin now in Syria, but it was a city once. It's about this girl who starts off as the daughter of the leader of Palmyra, and she eventually ends up being an empress. This is obviously historical fiction, but it's based on real people who have really existed. The main character of this book has really existed, but not a lot is known about her, so the author took a lot of creative liberties with this, and it turned out to be amazing. Like, I don't think I have loved a character in historical fiction more than I love the main character of this novel, and the difficult decisions she had to make to end up where she was. And the ending of this was so realistic. There is no happily ever after. It is just choice and consequence, which I love. The fourth book I'm going to be talking about is a series which I talk about a lot on my channel, and it's the Velveteen series by Jennifer Niven. I've only read the first 2 books, which are Velveteen Learns to Drive and Velveteen Learns to Fly. It follows a young girl called Velveteen, and in the first book you see her grow up from this really young girl to a 16-year-old girl, and everything she experiences is basically a character study of Velveteen. And she starts off in, I believe, the south of North America, in a valley. She lives in a very isolated community, And she wants to become a singer at the Grand Ole Opry in, I believe, Texas. It's what it is. It's only a dream. She doesn't think she can achieve it, but she dreams of it. And she meets this guy, and he is a couple years older than her, and they marry, and she's stuck in this life that she doesn't want. She wants to become a singer, and she thought she could become the housewife that he wants her to be, but she can't. She can't let her dreams go. And the first book is called Velveteen Learns to Drive because it was very taboo in this time period for women to drive a car. And Velveteen learns herself to drive a yellow truck, which is why it's called Velveteen Learns to Drive. And I guess you can imagine why the second book is called Velveteen Learns to Fly. Yes, she joins the army. It's incredible. Incredible what one woman can do in her life, especially in this time period. How she developed and popped as a character, and especially as a woman character. It's such an encouragement, basically an ode to women. It is so encouraging and motivating to read. The last series I want to recommend is also one I talk about quite a lot. It is a Soldier Girls series by Michael Grant. The first book is called Frontlines, and I'm currently reading the second book, which I probably will finish when this goes up, but the second book is called Silver Stars, and this follows 3 girls who sign up for the military in the Second World War. Women are volunteering, and all of these 3 characters volunteered. One of them is Jewish, one of them is a white girl, and the other one is a woman of color. And you see their experiences in the war. Like, the white girl is on the front lines, the Jewish girl is in intelligence, and the woman of color is a medic in the army. You see their different experiences and racism, and it feels so realistic how this all goes, and how their personalities are completely different, and how they experience the army, and for example, men acting towards them, because there obviously was a lot of sexism as well, because men wouldn't take orders from women, and it's so much more than I could have ever imagined. The second book is even better than the first book, Frontlines. This is going to be a trilogy. I thought it was going to be a duology, but the third book is just not on Goodreads. Don't know why, but there is going to be a third book, and I don't know how this series will end. Probably when the war ends, but I hope all of these characters survive, because I do care about them. These are all of my historical fiction recommendations. If you have any historical fiction recommendations for me, leave them down below. I would love to know, because I really enjoy reading historical fiction. Thanks for watching. Goodbye!